be here. And I got to tell you, Blaine Lukemeyer is going to fill my shoes and then some. He's going to be a great guy. We're going to get him elected, aren't we? Now, a little congressional business while we're here. I just need to take a quick, you can be my poll group, my survey group. I voted against the $700 billion taxpayer bill. Twice. So last Friday, after casting the vote, and listen, look, we know there's economic problems, but there are ways that we can deal with it and put liquidity in the market without putting you on the hook for $700 billion. And so I cast my no vote. Of course, many of you know, and the press reported it, that President Bush was coming to Missouri. And so I got to catch a ride on Air Force One. You know, I didn't want, I saved you an airfare. I mean, see, I am a fiscal conservative, notwithstanding what those ads say. So I hopped on Air Force One, having voted against this thing. And of course, the president wanted it pretty bad. And so the only thing I made sure was the captain of the plane when I got on was to make sure there was a parachute with my name on it. And there was. But it's great to be home. You know what's interesting about that, about the bailout, and let me just set the record straight, because we got our good friends from the media that are here. I mean it. My wife's a proud graduate from the School of Journalism here in the University of Missouri, so I can truthfully say I love the media. And by the way, isn't she going to be a great first lady? So when we had the bailout bill the first time, I can assure you that when the Speaker of the House went to the floor and she had her partisan diatribe that, she did not cause Republicans not to vote against the thing, because look, two things we know every time Nancy Pelosi takes the floor. Number one is that she's going to speak for a very, very long time. And secondly, it is going to be just partisan. And so we're used to these partisan speeches of hers, and so that had nothing to do with it. But here's the thing that's been interesting is that somehow, some way, Republicans have gotten the blame for this. Now, who's been running the show the last 2 years in Congress? It's been the other side. I don't know how many of you are Jim Cramer fans, Mad Cramer, but even the other night I got home, first of all, you're working hard and you're getting your money's worth in this governor's race when, as the daylight's coming up, I'm kissing Renee goodbye, and so as the sun goes down, 12 hours later, I get to see her again, and it's at a political event. Man, she was in Springfield today, and so we've been crossing like ships of the night. In fact, our girls have put our pictures on the milk jug to remind them of what we look like. And I got in the other night late and flipped on and watched Jim Cramer was on some cable show, and the host was trying to get him to say, "Isn't this the fault of George Bush?" And he said, "Absolutely not." I mean, here's the thing. When it was actually regulation after Enron that created some of this stuff. As one of the accountants said, it was like killing an ant with a sledgehammer when we put these regulations called Sarbanes-Oxley together. I'm not going to have your eyes glaze over, but the point is this. The other side has just been adept at being able to shuck the blame to our side of the aisle. And we're not going to take that anymore. It's time to take the gloves off. Don't you think so? I hope in this next presidential debate, I know John McCain is an honorable man, but it is time to tell it like it is. And certainly that's what we're going to do here in this governor's race. What's fascinating, I think back, I'm a little nostalgic, as the 12 years and you've allowed me to serve you, and I think back to that freshman term when I was elected. You helped elect me in '96, and I was sworn in '97. Nobody's going to remember that. Just a quick question. The last vote I cast as a freshman member in December '98, what would that have been? To impeach the President of the United States. Well, you don't have to applaud that, Marty. Marty's applauding impeachment. And so here, the last vote I cast as your representative in Congress is this bailout of Wall Street. Boy, what a bookend that is, man. Impeachment, the bailout. But what's interesting is that this whole, the this campaign from top to bottom is this reinvention that's going on. You know, it's just change is in the air. You know, and all of a sudden, the guy I'm running against, 22 years in Jeff City, the longest serving government official in our state right now, suddenly says, man, I'm an agent of change. Agent of change. Man, you've been part of the problem for the last 22 years, and now suddenly you're going to be part of the solution. And so this idea of suddenly being a conservative and being fiscally conservative and all these things, man, you know this, and I'm preaching to the choir, you know that in Congress I have never, ever, 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 for the press, ever voted for a tax increase ever on your behalf. In fact, have fought to let you keep a little bit more of your money. $1.6 trillion in tax relief. Jay Nixon, on the other hand, has voted for every tax increase he ever had a chance to as a state senator, even sued to keep us from getting our Hancock refunds. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's the wrong way. You got a problem here. And on this healthcare thing, it wasn't that long ago. Remember, a couple years ago, we had 1 million Missourians, almost 1 in 6 Missourians who were dependent upon the government assistance. Now, first of all, there's some healthcare folks here. I recognize you. Who here would want to have the old Medicaid system as your health insurance? Well, of course, nobody. I mean, you're 4 times as more likely to show up at the emergency room than you would at a doctor's office or a clinic. And you're more likely under the old system to actually get a really bad outcome if you're really sick. And so not only was it financially unsustainable for us to keep 1 million Missourians on the government rolls, but it wasn't good coverage. And yet that's the system that Jay wants to take us back to. And I'll tell you this, folks, $265 million, using his number, $265 million of our tax dollars for an old bankrupt system that will have to rob our classrooms. I think that's the wrong way.